Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, wer hätte jemals gedacht, dass wir in der Albertina eine Ausstellung eröffnen werden von einem Künstler, der 1862 geboren wurde und 1918 gestorben ist und nicht Gustav Klimt heißt. Aber die Geschichte ist so, dass der bedeutendste georgische Künstler NIKO Pirosmani exakt die Lebensdaten des Gustav Klimt teilt. Ansonsten nichts. Der eine Maler, Gustav Klimt, hat die höchsten Kreise der Gesellschaft in Wien um 1900 porträtiert. Der andere stirbt obdachlos in einem Keller in Tiflis und wir wissen nicht, wo er begraben ist. Der eine ist heute mit den höchsten Preisen weltweit bekannt, auf jeder Bonbonnière. Der andere ist im Westen unbekannt. Darum fragt man sich, warum zeigt ihn die Albertina? Nicht, weil er der berühmteste, nicht, weil er der bedeutendste georgische Künstler ist, sondern weil er mit Henri Rousseau, diesem großen französischen Amateur, der für Picasso, Apollinaire so bedeutend war, der allerwichtigste Amateurkünstler, sogenannte naive Künstler überhaupt war. Ohne ihn gäbe es keinen frühen Chagall, keinen Malevich, keinen Goncharow und Larionov. Meine Damen und Herren, Sie haben es bereits an dieser Musik gemerkt, dieser Abend ist ein besonderer und ich gebe zu, ich muss heute von einer Überzeugung Abschied nehmen, dass wir in Wien zu unseren Gästen Deutsch sprechen, aber es sind, ich glaube, über 180 Gäste aus Georgien unter uns und darum erlauben Sie mir, dass ich meine Rede auf Englisch halte. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 100 years ago in a damp cellar in Tbilisi, a man passed away. We know nothing of his grave, nor do we know who wept him. But seldom has such an unknown individual had such an enormous impact as this poor man who, having worked various odd jobs, decided to spend the rest of his life painting for a living. He did so as an autodidact, with no academic education whatsoever, nor any professional training as a painter. The status of this man's patrons were commensurate. Now long since forgotten, they were owners of simple taverns in Tbilisi or proprietors of shops who wanted to have their wares, fruit, vegetables, meat, bread, advertised on cheaply made signs. His painting was done not on finely planed, precisely joined and grounded wooden planks. He had not the money for that, nor on expensive canvases. Simple waxcloth sheets and tops like those used to shield horse-drawn wagons from the rain, served this man from Georgia as painting surfaces. Black wax cloth. The artist was NIKO Pirosmani, a nobody at the time, but a hero of the avant-garde today. An amateur 100 years ago, but long since ennobled as a pioneer of new primitivism by the numerous artists who paid him tributes. Back then it was the young Chagall, Malevich, Goncharova and Larionov. Later on it was Georg Baselitz and Kiki Smith, Picasso, Yoshitomo Nara and Androvecour, Adrian Gheni. And above all, the foremost Japanese architect of our time, Tadao Ando. Today, with NIKO Pirosmani, we are opening an exhibition that presents this greatest among Georgian artists as one of the true giants of art history as a whole. And finally, after many decades, his work can once again be seen in the West. On this occasion, it is my duty and great pleasure to welcome our guests from Georgia to the Albertina Museum. First of all, I would like to welcome the members of the Georgian government. From the very beginning, this exhibition enjoyed the support of the Georgian Ministry of Arts and Culture, represented here today by Deputy Minister Mikhail Georgnadze and Levan Kerachvili. Welcome at the Albertina Museum. I welcome you and your wife Nina at the Albertina Museum. I extend my thanks to the Georgian National Museum's General Director David Lord Kipanidze and welcome him and his wife Anna. David, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your unbelievable generosity and for your willingness to make artworks available such that none of our mother's wishes went unfulfilled. I likewise extend my heartfelt thanks to Ekaterina Kidnadze and the curators, scholars, restorers of the Georgian National Museum. But I cannot extend thanks to that museum's National Gallery in Tbilisi and to representatives of the Georgian government without also hastening to thank that individual who opened up every door to us in Tbilisi and who in fact did much more than that. It was he who took the first steps toward initiating a project that we had long viewed as infeasible, thereafter helping us to see it through to its successful conclusion. Adrian Bazan. I welcome my dear friend and generous support of our exhibition on NIKO Pirosmani. I think it was almost 2 years ago that you paid me a visit and asked whether I was interested in NIKO Pirosmani. He didn't yet know that for many years we at the Albertina Museum had dreamt of devoting an exhibition to this predecessor of neo-primitivism. We had wanted to integrate him 4 years ago when we presented works by Russian avant-garde painters, showing him side by side with the early Chagall, with Larionov. But probably it was a lack of courage and insufficient contacts to Georgia that made us hesitant. And then, all of a sudden, you came along and asked me whether I knew Pirosmani, whether I thought anything of him, and whether I might be willing to show him. Seldom has a time-honored expression been truer. As far as I or anyone else here was concerned, Adrian Bazan was pushing and knocking at an open door. It was with the utmost professionalism, tenacity and modesty that he made sure that every door in Tbilisi would be open to us. He also opened the door to friendships with our Georgian colleagues. And with your unbelievable knowledge and your empathy, both cultural and historical. Adrian Bazan made that bygone world, painted by Pirosmani, both actual and relevant to us today. I owe you, dear Adrian, as well as the Infinite Art Foundation, a debt of incomparable gratitude. The trips to Georgia, to Tbilisi, to Mirzani, that you organized are just as unforgotten as the hospitality, and that you and your friends from there have shown to us. Thank you for that. And I'm also still aware of how Mazan Tajik, as your right hand, was constantly there at your side and always made us feel truly at home in the Georgian capital. To you as well, Mazan, dear, extend heartfelt thanks from me personally and on behalf of the entire exhibition team. I'm looking, here she is. I'm looking for her. Expected you on the left side, you're on the right. An exhibition that breaks new ground like this one also requires catalog authors and curators who help to conceive the ideal presentation. I therefore owe deep thanks to curator Elisabeth Dutz from the Albertina Museum and to curator B.J. Kuriger. B.J. Kuriger is the head of the Vincent van Gogh Foundation in Arles, and she will talk later to us, is the one who recognized its importance in the early 90s already and has organized an exhibition of NIKO Pirosmani in Switzerland. One idea, however, was missing: a tribute by the greatest artist of our own time to this Henri Rousseau of the East. Because what the French customs official and amateur painter Henri Rousseau meant to the Western avant-garde, to Picasso, Apollinaire, Matisse and Braque, that is what NIKO Pirosmani represented for the Eastern avant-garde. And it was once again Adrian Bazan who, through his Infinite Art Foundation, made it possible to realize this present-day tribute to a great figure of the past. Your suggestion, Tadao Ando, created his first table sculpture in the form of a table tomb. Hundreds of blue roses hold captive a mystical light inside this glass sarcophagus as an allusion to the somnambulistic beauty of Pirosmani's paintings. The blue stands for peace and harmony, for bright skies and the wide horizon of the sea. It is the color of that infiniteness for which we have such an ineffable desire. The 7-meter-long object simultaneously represents a table, that table of which Pirosmani dreamt, homeless, completely destitute, hungry. He wanted to sit at this table amidst great friends, artists, with a samovar before them, sipping tea and discussing art, a meeting of kindred spirits. So we asked Georg Baselitz, Adrian Geni, Yoshi Tomonara, Kiki Smith and Andrew Vekur what Pirosmani means to them. And all of them likewise created one or more works referring to the artists, works which has been available through you to us in addition to the loan work for the Pirosmani exhibition. For that, my deepest thanks go to all of these artists who have paid tribute to this Georgian artist Pirosmani through their works. But just who is this NIKO Pirosmani? Who is he really? And what role did he play in that most peaceful and most radical revolution of the early 20th century, the modernist revolution? I think the history of modernism is largely one of resistance, of young artists revolting against the academies and the brilliant yet superficial salon painting in Paris, in Barcelona, Munich and Berlin. The international awakening of modernism aimed at an authentic art, practicing the art of forgetting, of unlearning. The avant-garde relied on children's drawings and the dilettantes, naive painting, as well as the artistry of the mentally ill, and the presumed primitivism of African and Ossanian sculpture for their inspiration. Born in Tbilisi in 1862, NIKO Pirosmani was the most important figure in the line of unlearned ancestors who helped the birth of the early Russian avant-garde's neo-primitivism. What the naive painter Le Douanier, Henri Rousseau, meant to Picasso, Pirosmani represented to the Russian avant-garde. The art of early Chagall and Malevich would be unthinkable without the profoundly felt and the simple forms of the animals and the figures Pirosmani always rendered frontally or in rigid profile. The monumental character and magic poetry of Pirosmani isolated figures already enthralled the trailblazers of modernism when first exhibited in 1913. Pirosmani was celebrated immediately as an artist heralding an authentic art, an art not deformed by academic training. He was the fixed star on the way to the simplicity of the people's soul. Picasso likewise admired the iconic beauty and memorable impact of Pirosmani's paintings. Already in his late years, the Spaniard dedicated a work to the Georgian. But Pirosmani did not live to see his work achieve recognition and success. The lack of understanding in his native Georgia and the outbreak of the World War I thwarted any further exhibitions. The shop signs and portraits he sold during his lifetime were paid in kind, in wine and food. Impoverished and homeless, he died in the damp, cold cellar tavern in Tbilisi in 1918. I think one need not to be deeply religious in order to hope that this genius of authentic words and authentic images might perhaps see our exhibition in Vienna from the vantage point of whatever star he is on. Today, his idea of art's power to communicate has brought together two countries, Austria and Georgia. His idea of art's ability to convey meaning has built a bridge from here to there, and from one human person to another. How could art possibly be more satisfying? Thank you.
Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, Ladies and Gentlemen, erlauben Sie, dass ich auch gleich auf Englisch weiterfahre. Why are we so attracted to art created around 1900? For one thing, it was a time in the history of art when the clear rules and certainties that underpinned the academic view of art to crumble. Industrialization not only triggered flight from the countryside and the growth of cities, but also changed lifestyles that had grown organically and been passed down for centuries. As we have heard, Pirosmani was a great inspiration for the avant-garde in Tbilisi and in Moscow. But why does he still enchant us? Why does his voice still seem so relevant to us today? When I first saw NIKO Pirosmani's paintings in 1988 in the museum in Tbilisi, it was almost like an epiphany. How could I possibly not have known about the artist who seemed to have fallen down to earth right now from heaven? I also felt how very deeply this particular place, this museum and this community in Georgia love and appreciate his work. My initial research immediately showed that there were already many impressive serious publications about this enigmatic and highly poetic figure. For instance, the important catalogue Raisonné, published in 4 languages by Erast Kuznetsov, who is here with us tonight. It seems all that was neglected and ignored in my part of the art world. NIKO Pirosmani, I found out, was a self-taught artist who gained freedom and emancipation through art, which he conquered, shaped and defined in his own way. Born into a peasant family and orphaned at an early age, he always struggled to survive, experienced failure, and was unable to pursue a regular professional life. Around 1900, he decided to devote himself to being an artist and lived a nomadic life in the countryside, in the city and the suburbs. It was the life of a vagabond, and he painted to survive. He painted in exchange for food and lodging, the latter often in stables together with the animals. He created paintings for inns, taverns, bars and stores. It is estimated that the whereabouts of only 1/10 of his entire productions are known today. We are fortunate that at least this much of his work has been preserved for us and future generations. Looking back, we recognize the compelling, single-minded nature of NIKO Pirosmani's glowing images of iconic simplicity and of a dreamlike archetypal life. The formats are large and the painting style brisk. The tempo does not permit pedantic lingering on details. Urgency is the driving force. No wonder, since, as mentioned, Pirosmani was painting in exchange for room and board. The immediacy and stylization of the paintings paradoxically create the impression of a certain detachment that precisely pinpoints the locale for which Pirosmani was creating his works. The use of black waxcloth as a support encourages and stimulates the treatment of motifs that seem to have been drawn out of dark depths and appear in muted light. Desires and yearnings for an ideal coexistence resonate in these motifs, but they are never cloying. The moods, the atmosphere, the light, the colors, the clarity, the calm, these all contribute to the sense of revelation communicated by these paintings. NIKO Pirosmani is a wanderer between the worlds. We are looking at the exoticism of a normality that never really existed in this form. We are incredulous about the passion, the love, the care, and the insistence with which the artist shows us his vision of things again and again from ever new, beguiling angles. And it is a surprising exoticism that affects us more than we would like to admit. Looking at Pirosmani also directs our attention to his audience. For whom was he painting his pictures? The discussion is dominated by the misleading idea of a naive art, produced in seclusion, even isolation. This is just as wrong as the assumption that Vincent van Gogh worked without relating to a possible audience. But whereas Van Gogh imagined it would be established in the near future, for him and his modern friends, as an understanding of new ideas that would mature with time, Pirosmani responded to his audience directly and immediately. In this respect, I would compare him with a pop singer who conquers the audience by adapting each performance of the songs in his or her repertoire to the particular moods and expectations of the occasion. There is a famous story we heard about Pirosmani. Towards the end of his life, he was invited by the Art Association of Tbilisi, together with the avant-garde artists who had discovered him. After listening to that discourse, probably a ferocious debate between the old and the new forces, the bourgeois artists and the avant-garde, he simply said, "Brothers, what we need is a house with a table and a samovar where we can talk about art. But I see you don't want this. You are speaking about other things." So Pirosmani knew exactly for whom he was painting for, and it was not the art world. It is this story that inspired the great architect Tadao Ando, a self-taught architect and artist as well, to create the wonderful table sculpture on view here in the exhibition. It was created at the request of Adrian Barsan from Infinite Art Foundation as an homage to Pirosmani, representing also a traveling form of his tomb, because no one knows where he was buried. I am deeply indebted to Pirosmani. Thanks to him, I have met a number of wonderful persons with whom I had the opportunity to enjoy intense, beautiful conversations over the years and to learn so much about universes I was not so familiar with. My visit to Tbilisi since my first time in 1988 and the second in 1994 were enriched in the last year and a half by 2 other visits and contacts in preparation for this exhibition. My exchange with Mariam Dwali has been invaluable. I am so grateful for her immense commitment. I also thank Nino Kundadze and the conservation team who came to Vienna to accompany the works they so much love. Here in Vienna, it is Elisabeth Dutz, who was a really precious partner and who directed the whole editorial enterprise to create an outstanding book together with the designers from the Albertina and the Hatje-Kantz publishers. And also those who contributed, Esse, Friedrich Thayer-Bach, Gottfried Böhm, Régis Guéraud. Having visited the museum in Tbilisi after 20 years, where Pirosmani is now on view, it was a pleasure to see how beautifully and prominently he is displayed in the elegant, important and perfectly renovated building on the main boulevard. I would also like to mention that Adrian Barsan, not only are we indebted to him for Ando's sculpture, it was he who first of all initiated the venture to also include homages by contemporary artists which are now exposed in a lower floor. With his infectious and passion and commitment, you might say, we are now able to see eye to eye with Pirosmani. We are very much looking forward to the possibility of hosting the Pirosmani exhibition at the Fondation Vincent van Gogh in Arles, in France. It should be a moving moment to see Pirosmani's work side by side with Vincent's paintings. Van Gogh is not only a great innovator in the vanguard of the above-mentioned revolutionary change in art, he is also, like Pirosmani, a moral figurehead, and he was also self-taught in his own way. Vincent is at the moment maybe the most popular artist in the world, in a globalized world. I see a potential for Pirosmani too to become more and more popular because, like Vincent, NIKO was plucking in all simplicity a human chord. Thank you very much.
Schöne Yeah, it's not easy to speak after so nice music. And also when you are expecting so big beauty which you have here. But I will be brief. And first of all, of course, I am very thankful. And we museum directors also, we have our own dreams. And today morning when I went and entered, and I saw together Chagall, Picasso, Monet, and Pirosmani. This was like dream came through, because this is something which, I would say this is something which is role of Pirosmani. You made one, and I want to thank everyone who was touched and participated as this dream came through. Of course, you, Klaus, and your wonderful team, and these charming curators, and Adrian, right? So Adrian was dynamo, which was pushing everything, and also, of course, our team who worked. I'm more speaking, they worked, right? And this is today very special day, you know. Pirosmani is like Georgia. Georgia is very old, but we are now still searching our identity. We are a newborn state. Pirosmani is very well known, one hand. From other hand, it begins new life. And I would say that the Georgian history is always searching of identity. It starts from very early period when humans started to make first agricultural revolution and started to produce different products. We found our identity in producing earliest wine, right? So later, when was big revolution in innovations in metal, we were producing one part gold, right? Later was big, I would say, cultural revolution. We got Greek culture, right? And even this, in this period, we had small our identity, and you heard about Colchis, Medea, Jason, Golden Fleece. The next episode where we became Christians, there was a big Byzantine Empire, but we still were keeping our small identity. And then later we were part of Russian Empire. But we still kept our identity through language, literature. But I would say that one of the best representative keeping identity is Pirosmani. Pirosmani kept this identity, which is one hand international, and from other hand it's Georgian. Very often we say, what was Pirosmani? What was his role, right? And often you can hear, poor guy, I hate it. Pirosmani was winner. He doesn't need compassion or sympathy. This was a man who was icebreaker. And Pirosmani is a great example that how you can build your very high-level professional skills in different environment. And today, when we are in Vienna, really, I don't think you need our compliments. Which level was your contribution in world culture, art, science? I would say Pirosmani brought Tbilisi on the map of the different way. In the early 20th century, Tbilisi had an environment where you could create this kind of artists. Pirosmani is an example which we should learn, and this is what we try today to understand. And for me, today it's a very special day, as I said, and I wish that this day, Pirosmani's new life, will bring more awareness about our country, of course. I'm sure that your beautiful museum will have many different outreach and programs which will show was Pirosmani. But also I would say that Pirosmani passed away exactly in 1918. You coincide with Klimt's story, but it's also the year when we got independence. He died maybe a week before Georgia claimed independence. So it's almost, this year we're celebrating 100 years of Georgian state independence and 100 years of death. So it's one hand it's a tragedy, and other hand is happiness. But always they are together. So Pirosmani is this example of being bridge for different times, bridge for different cultures. We still are discussing where is Georgia, Asia or Europe, but we are always towards Europe. And today Pirosmani brought even Japan here, right? It connected Far East with Europe, and this is, to be serious, may I say that Pirosmani is one of the best ambassadors. It shows that dreams came through, and the main dream was his, may I say, many followers, many artists, to have Georgia successful and Tbilisi place like Vienna. So next our wish will be that in Tbilisi we will see Pirosmani together with Chagall, Van Gogh, Picasso, and so on. And before I will finish, it's strange. I'm an archaeologist. I would say it's not so important to dig Pirosmani grave because we know where he is. He is with us. He is today here, and he collects all of us, and this is why we are and why artists. And let me say many thanks to Nicola for this gathering, and thanks all of you that we can enjoy this heritage which Nicola left to us, and let's try to go ahead. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is Austrian National Day, so let me congratulate you on this occasion. My congratulations. It is indeed an honor and pleasure to be with you here today and to be part of this exceptional event, opening of exhibition of NIKO Pirosmani, an exceptional part of Georgian cultural heritage and even more national treasure of Georgia. I very much hope that this exhibition will give, as David said, a new life to NIKO Pirosmani and his art. Through this exhibition, the professional art scene, I very much hope, will rediscover this great artist, and the general public, the international audience, will discover Pirosmani and will get intrigued enough to be willing to get to know the homeland of this genius artist, to get to know the Georgian, to get to know Georgian culture. Absolutely fantastic touch to this exhibition, I loved it so much, is the idea of having renowned modern artists to pay tribute to NIKO Pirosmani. I was amazed with this table that I had pleasure to see last night when watching the preparation in the room by Tadeo Ando, the works of other modern artists mentioned earlier today. Thank you so much for this great possibility, for this opportunity. Thank you so much for making this happen. And of course, my special thanks go to Klaus and his team, Albertina Museum. It's one of the greatest art spaces, if I may say, without any exaggeration, one of the most influential museum, not only in Europe, but I would say in the world today. Of course, the National Museum of Georgia, David, you and your team, for working so hard, for being so high professionals that National Museum of Georgia and the Museum, Albertina Museum, they are talk and they work together like partners, like equal partners, professional and dedicated. So thank you so much. And of course, my very special thanks go to Adrian, this young man who came into my office almost 2 years ago. And honestly speaking, from the very first meeting of ours, I was just blown away with the enthusiasm and the passion that I felt from this young man. Honestly speaking, he made me almost rediscover Pirosmani. You know, he made me to see at his works, his art, his philosophy from a different angle. So thank you so much, Adrian. Without your enthusiasm, one day that would happen somehow, you know, we would present Pirosmani here on the international scene, but probably not that soon, you know, and not on such a level as you did it. So thank you so much. Thank you to all your team. Thank you to the charming curator, of course, or curators for working so hard on this scene. Thank you all for showing your interest and coming up tonight. And thank you to, as David said, thank you to NIKO Pirosmani, of course, for having us all gathered today here and celebrating the art and celebrating him as bridge between the past and present, and past, the present, and the future, creating this outstanding, exceptional cultural dialogue between us. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm speaking in the name of all of you that we're really very amazed and thankful for Miranda Shvili's contribution to our opening. It was a great honor for us that you came in from Tiflis. And also, of course, I'm very grateful for the 7 men from Georgia who came in tonight to sing these beautiful, very sad songs about the country, a melancholic tone, which probably gives us a better understanding of your wonderful home country. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy NIKO PIROSMANI, One Floor Down. Thank you for your coming.